Habari za asubuhi mabibi na mabwana. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, Makamu wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. Mheshimiwa Waziri wa Afya, Umi Mwalimu. Waheshimiwa wawakilishi wa serikali kutoka wizara mbalimbali walioko humu ndani. Waheshimiwa wawakilishi wa wadau wa maendeleo kwenye maeneo ya lishe, kama alivyosema Asha, tuna DFID hapa ndani, tuna USAID, tuna Lishe. Pia kuna World Bank, kuna mashirika ya UN, UNICEF, WHO, FAO, UN Reach, WFP na wengine ambao sitawataja tunawazingatia. Waheshimiwa wabunge, tuna mwenyekiti wa vinara wa lishe Mheshimiwa Danstan Kitandula. Waheshimiwa viongozi wa serikali katika ngazi mbalimbali mlioko humu ndani, wanachama wa PANITA, mabibi na mabwana, itifaki imezingatiwa. Awali ya yote nitoe shukrani zangu za dhati kwa Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, Makamu wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania kwa kushiriki nasi siku hii ya leo. Hii ni siku adhimu kwetu. Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais, tunatambua kwamba unafahamu umuhimu wa lishe na wewe ni mama, kwa hiyo tunakushukuru sana kwa kuwepo na sisi leo. Nichukue fursa hii kuwashukuru wote, watu wametoka mbali, kuna watu wametoka mikoani hapa, tumewaita kwa muda mfupi lakini wamefika. Mimi niseme asanteni sana. Na hii yote inaonyesha namna ambavyo mwamko kwenye lishe sasa umeanza kusimama. Lakini pia nichukue nafasi ya pekee kumshukuru Mheshimiwa Waziri. Mheshimiwa Waziri yeye amekuwa kinara, pamoja na kwamba ni Mheshimiwa Waziri wa Afya, lakini toka mwanzo akiwa mbunge amekuwa kinara katika kile kikundi na amekuwa mstari wa mbele. Na ameshiriki nasi kikamilifu kwa muda wote tunapofanya kazi na PANITA. Lakini pia kwa pekee kabisa nimshukuru Mheshimiwa Kitandula. Alikuwa na majukumu mengi lakini akasema hapana, kwa sababu swala hili ni muhimu na yeye amefika. Pia nimshukuru kiongozi wa jumuiya ya wadau wa maendeleo wa lishe ambaye ni mwenyekiti bila Mdiae kwa kusimama nasi pamoja katika zoezi hili. Niwashukuru viongozi wa serikali kupitia TFNC, ofisi ya coordination, ofisi ya waziri mkuu, wamekuwa na sisi pamoja katika hili, na wale wote walioshiriki nasi. Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais, kwa sababu ya muda na shughuli ulizonazo, mimi niseme tu asante sana kwa kuwa nasi, na ningependa sasa nijielekeze katika kutoa maelezo ya msingi katika ripoti ya hali ya lishe duniani ya mwaka 2016. Niseme tu kwamba tumeandaa kwa Kiingereza kwa sababu ripoti yenyewe kwa Kiingereza, kwa hiyo nitatumia lugha ya Kiingereza. So the first report was produced in 2014, as I've said, in Swahili, and this report is produced by independent experts. So this means this is one of the credible data that we have. At the moment, we are seeing many things happening in this, particularly in this 2016. We have seen the signing of new Sustainable Development Goals by UN, and much of this has a lot of nutrition. You can't do development without nutrition. And then recently, UN has given us this as a decade for action for nutrition. So this tells us everyone in the world is coalescing around nutrition, and that's an opportunity for us to be part of this bigger movement. There has been a hungry for data. We have data, but it's not sufficient. But everybody is speaking of investing on data. I think that would be good, because that's the way we can measure ourselves in terms of accountability, as well as what is needed to reach where we are in terms of funding and other resources. Essentially, what we see in this report, there are key findings, call for actions, takeaways, and what we can do. So, what does this mean? Essentially, we speak around malnutrition because it has dire consequences for human life. One is along suffering, health-related consequences. Now it is accepted about 45% of underchild mortality in one way or another is contributed to malnutrition. We would say malaria, you can say diarrhea, but the bottom line is poor immune system, and this nutrition has a big role. So that's why we are enriching the data now to see exactly what is underlying all that we see. But also economic consequences. I think studies done in this country in 2014, the profile, that was government data with key partners, it showed us we are losing around 2.6% of our GDP annually. That's a lot of money. I understand our Excellency President Magufuli is speaking around getting more resources within this country. So this is one area where it erodes a lot of our resources, probably we may not know. So we would appreciate if you bring our message to His Excellency. Maybe one of the areas that might impede your good speed toward improving this country is nutrition. Many people are coming in from domain that we are not maybe the one to speak. Recently, we have seen some key figures within the economic domain speaking around nutrition. We have the president of the African Development Bank, Akin Adesanya, said we need to invest in gray matter infrastructure. This is around brain. And if you see an economist speaking this is a great stride. I think the advocacy globally now is working because we need to bring other people from other sector to speak with us, particularly the economists, to tell them that you cannot make any progress in terms of development if you don't invest in human capital. And that starts in the early days, pre-pregnancy, during pregnancy time, and the first 2 years of life. And also we see the president of the World Bank. Some people say because he's a doctor, but I think, well, being a doctor maybe has captured it well, linking it the medical perspective as well as the economic perspective. And he says, neuronal infrastructure is quite possibly going to be the most important infrastructure that we need to invest. These are the two big institutions that guides our economy in this world and the other one in Africa. So that's good news for us. So whoever else should not support these people. I think we need to do more to support what they think. And this is the right direction. The world set a lot of targets. One of them is the World Health Assembly target that were signed 2 years ago. And these, Tanzania is one of the signatories. One of the main target in that around nutrition is what Honorable Minister told you just a few minutes ago, is the reduction of the 40% of stunting. That is one of the world targets that we have signed as a country. We need to do a lot. Now, the statistics shows that we are not in track to reach this, so we need to do more by 2025. If we want to reach this, we need to do more than what we do now. Yes, we are seeing declining, but if we project by 2025, we cannot get 40% reduction of where we are now. So more political effort, more resources, more people should invest in this, and particularly, we should go beyond the comfort zone. Unfortunately, we people in nutrition and health, we tend to seclude ourselves. But now we have made, I think, the river efforts to bring politicians in, economists in, and everybody to be part of this. And the bottom line, if you want to do this best, I think the power relations within the household has to be at the center of it. People call it gender, but I call it power relations. So essentially, we need to do more to reach where we want to reach, given the just global targets that we have committed ourselves. So this is just a picture. I'm not sure it's well seen, but it's just explaining among how we are. The red means those areas we are not doing very well globally. And you see there is a lot of red. Just quickly say, this tells you this self-target picture. If you see green, that's good. So how many greens? There are very few. So most of areas around nutrition, we are of course. When you say world, including Tanzania, we are not yet there. And I'm sure political support at high level is very key. I understand if government say we want to eliminate malnutrition today, we will. We are seeing positive changes that are happening now within this government and other government that passed in this country. And I think that should have the same cause. To a larger extent, we cannot achieve SDGs if nutrition is not working out. Most of these indicators, bottom line is the healthy, and the human being has to be healthy mentally as well as physically to do whatever of this that is happening. And nutrition is central to this. So if we want to achieve our SDG targets, nutrition has to be at the core point. This is to show how best the various goals within the SDGs, how nutrition is entrenched. The more we see the yellow colors, these are the more indicators that are nutrition related. If you want to achieve those, for example, gender equality is measured by a couple of indicators, but 12 of them, which is almost, I think 80% if you look in that bar, is around nutrition issues. Healthy lives also is around 50% if you see quickly. Hunger and nutrition is around almost half of that bar. So nutrition is central to SDG. So if you want to achieve the SDG, nutrition should have its adequate space. So we still need to do more as the gap is big, as I've said in a few slides back. Still, we are off track. So we need to hold hands among ourselves to make sure that we get this. And that tells everybody, not only government, whoever in this country, including the families, Baba, Mama, Shangazi, all have space to do this. Bibi. It's not all about resources. You can dump a lot of money and you may not see any progress if it's not done it right. So what does this mean? We need smart targets. People are saying we should not have ambitious targets. I think it's good to have ambitious targets so that you can strain yourself to the last ditch of it. If you have a bit, and the targets that are not that much ambitious, then you tend to relax. So, but they should be smart, supported by facts and well researched. So if we do smart commitments and we honor them, I'm sure we'll have impact. And as we are starting seeing, the declining of the 8% in the 5 years highlighted the strong commitment that the government had in terms of structural changes, policy changes. I understand there have been a lot that have been done. People may not recognize. But for example, in this country, I think now we have almost, in every district, a nutritionist. Wherever she's sitting, whether in the council or in the hospital, she contributes something. That's one of the big achievements I should say today. We have right structures there now, not yet there, but we are moving in the right direction. I would congratulate Honorable Kitandula from the parliamentary side. Over the last 5 years, we have seen increased debate around questions and whatever commentary on budgets when they are presented with nutrition. That's a good thing, and we really encourage you to continue. Our donors have increased sizable amount of money in this country. So this all shows that's why we are moving in the right direction. But I think, bottom line, the government has to be to center of this, and that's what San says, should be at the driving seat. So, Honorable Vice President, while this is always happening, it's imperative that our good government that we trust should be forefront to this, to make sure that whatever is contributed, whatever is put on the plate, does it good. And then, nutrition, a part of all these things, as I've said earlier, is about families. If we don't move beyond what we do, we may not make progress, or we may make progress, but not how it would have been in terms of the efficiency, what you put in, what you get out. I think, to me, families have to be engaged properly. There are a lot of things that are going on at that level, not community. I'm talking about families. We know in the rural areas what happens. Women go to the farm to dig in the farms. When we get the produce, the father takes it and sells it and uses the money in a way that cannot be asked. That's not right. We can't go if we do. So when we say this is various levels, but different actors have to be putting resources. And it all needs to make a political choice. I understand this country already did a political choice in the last government, and it is seen now because this was put in documents, so it's there. So the government is committed. What we need is somebody to champion it, and with all due respect, Mama, ningeomba tusaidie. Utusemee kwenye hili. Nashukuru. Political commitment and action is very important. If there is no stability in this country, if our leaders are not speaking this, let me say this. If today Honorable President stand and speak, we want to eliminate malnutrition in this country, we'll see something, things are changing. I know. President MKAPA did in HIV/AIDS, if you remember, and things changed in this country. So things are happening. If our leaders speak openly, this is a problem. And then people coalesce around it. So globally, as I've said earlier, we are not yet there in terms of the target that we committed ourselves through World Health Assembly target. And as part of that community, we need to do more, all of us. There is mismatch between disease burden and how donors put money. This is from Global Nutrition Report, it's not me. So it's an area those who commit funds should look again. How are we putting our resources? Where there is a higher disease burden, we don't see much of resources. Correct the right data so that we can be informed and guide our action. This is just a fundamental perspective in terms of planning and investment. And invest in proven interventions so that we can move fast. We should not continue piloting. I think we waste resources sometimes. If we know things are working, let's go straight and do them. I think there has been a tendency of doing a lot of pilots, and unfortunately, let me say this, my experience has been the pilots consume a lot of resources because you tend to control a lot of factors to say this is happening.